Greg, you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? Dude, I can't tell you how many people I share the story of the time when we were at the Forward event. And I think it was Jesse Itzler, right? Who was on stage and you're sitting next to me and I was all like, Greg, can I talk to you about something? And that's when I decided to get my NMLS, my license, and to start to originate. And I feel like that was a little bit freeing for me, even to see Jesse like talk about it, right? Talk about his like coming up story, right? Like, cause he, you know, failed at a lot of things basically, right? And it's a great story. But thanks for making time to come on to my podcast. Point of this podcast is there's only two ways to get experience. We're either lucky enough to learn from somebody else's experience. In the mortgage industry, I think a lot of people were the product of who was there when we started. And not everybody chooses none of us are as informed as we could be, right? Because it's a journey. It's a journey of learning and experimenting. But so we're either lucky enough to learn from somebody else or we got to go through it ourselves. And it's not always pretty, but hey, actually, sometimes that's for the best. Is those are, for me, sometimes even those have been the things that, for a long time, I feel like I didn't have it that hard, which I know that we're going to get to that in a second, right? Because you shared a little bit of that in your pre-comment, pre-show notes. For anybody who doesn't know you, and I just want to ask, it's kind of a cheesy question, right? But how old were you when you got started in mortgage? What was one of the most important things that you learned when you got started in mortgage, and who taught it to you?
Wow. Well, let's see. So I would have been 32-ish. So pretty, I say old because I'm training some guys that are early 20s right now to be in the business. And my son just started as an intern here at 17. So I hope that if he likes it, that it would be an awesome long journey for him. Could you imagine starting at 17 with the stuff that I know?
I know that's kind of unfair, right? It's a little unfair. And is he going to inherit the database? Is he going to maybe partner in the team with you? Is he?
Well, that could happen, right?
All right. Pass on the
Someone's got
legacy.
to take the keys.
I
Yeah.
love that. Okay. So you were 32. What were you doing before? That actually is something I am doing a study, a legit research study, more on that later. But from a business development standpoint, I think people have an advantage when they come into mortgage having done something else previously. What did you do previously?
I agree. Well, and maybe some of the attributes of what I did, but not because of my connections at what I did, but kind of, yeah. So I was a personal trainer at a high-end health club and I was running a martial arts school. So managed a martial arts school. We were contracted in to teach martial arts at a high-end health club. And then later I was like, man, these trainers, they do pretty good. And the next step for me as running a martial arts school was to own my own. And at the time, I just wasn't ready. So, me and the owner were on really good terms. And so I went to become a personal trainer, went to the high-end health club. My very first client was a mortgage broker. And although she wasn't the way how I got in the business, indirectly she was. So about a year in, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, wanted to get into real estate. And the mortgage broker, her name is Kathy, she goes, man, she should get into mortgages. You can make way more money. And I was like, well, then will you interview her? And she's like, no. And I was like, come on. And so at the time, my girlfriend, now wife, Katie, she was running a couple really good pizza shops. She was the manager and killing herself. But she wanted to get into real estate. So anyways, I finally got Kathy to do the interview. My wife went in there, and for 4+ years, she worked her way up in the business to then be personal assistant, vice president with the owner. All the time I'm training the owner, and then I'm training the husband, and I'm going to all their Christmas parties. And finally I'm like, I'm done with training. I was doing 14-hour days, capped out in my commissions, couldn't train any more people. And so all of them, and when I say high end, it was a couple grand to join and a couple hundred a month. And this was 25 years ago. This is also when the personal training session was $80 an hour. That was 25 years ago. So this place was really high end. If I tell you a joke, they had a valet at a gym.
Hey, I mean,
now
that's
it's kind of a
business
thing.
model. Obviously, it's if the business was doing well and you didn't own the business, so you probably had you wanted to have your own version of that.
Yeah, well, and so I was around the right people. So the people that were paying that kind of money to join, that kind of money as an initiation fee, that kind of money to have a trainer, they were all CEOs, entrepreneurs, executives, things like that. So I was around the right people. So long story short, when I was done, my wife's like, hey, there's a guy here that's really killing it, that's looking for an assistant. This could be your foot in the door to get into mortgages. And so I said, great, I'll interview. So it's a Friday afternoon. I go in, I interview, and I'm talking to him. His name was JB. And, we get through the interview, and he's like, hey, I got to go before the title company closed. I got to go pick up a check. This is back when we were brokering. And so he had to go to the title company to pick up his check. So I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, all right. And he's like, well, let's just talk next week. And I'm like, hey, dude, I cleared my whole schedule. I'll just jump in the car with you and go to the title company. He's like, okay. So we kept talking, interviewed some more, came back, and we're done in the parking lot. And he goes, hey, man, why don't you just come inside? So we come inside, and he pulls out this yellow pad of paper, and he starts writing out the compensation, basically the job duties or description, kind of like, hey, I need you to do this, 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 and this. Here's how we're going to pay you. He's like, how much are you making now? How much would it take you to start to come over? He's like, okay, I can do that as your base. Here's the upside. And I'm like, I'm in.
On the spot.
Now, here's the thing, though. And I literally told the story an hour ago to a gal. I had to not only tell the fitness director that I was leaving, I had to also tell like 15 different clients that I had been training for years that I was leaving. And the cool part, as nervous as I was, the cool part was they were all happy for me, which was really felt good. And I'm still friends with a lot of those people today. And again, this was 21 years ago.
Super cool. And definitely, I mean, the thing that screams off the page to me is discipline, right? Like, I feel like you kind of already established that part of it, right? I call it mortgage maturity, right? It's like the things that when you don't know what you don't know, we have to slowly learn about mortgage and then make better decisions, right? Because it's like, okay, you can keep doing the thing that doesn't work. It's really the same thing. It's just maturity in general and just experience, all helping to make us a better professional. So what was the most amount of business you ever did in a single year?
It was, we pulled that up. It was 501 units at 148 million.
Damn, that's pretty damn good.
That was a lot.
So I like to, kind of painting a picture, right, of this. That definitely is an advantage, I think, to get started, because you had that, your wife was already kind of embedded into it at that point, right? So what was
the secret when you said that before? Like, what was, so I fell into it. I didn't seek it. So if I was starting again, I would be seeking out a mentor that I could shadow, that I could be their assistant, that I could just learn the business from, right? And so I think a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to be a realtor. And maybe they take the step and go get their license, and then they go on their own, and they never learned the street smarts of being a realtor or a loan officer through MLO school or realtor school to get your license. It's then either, like you said, option one, school of hard knocks. I'm just going to learn it myself, and I'm going to try and fail and try and fail and try and fail and finally make it. Or I'm going to do what I fell into, which was the fast pass. I'm going to have a mentor. I'm going to shadow JB for 3 straight years, hear his conversations, learn how he structures.
Partners with this guy for 3 years on his book of business, not really doing, like, were you bringing in loans as well?
No, it was all like he'd take the app, he'd meet with the client, and actually what he did was genius. And we teach this now, but he'd meet the client, and then he'd sit him down and say, hey, Greg's going to take you through all the disclosures and stuff. I'm going to show you the rate, the payment, the closing costs. And then if you have any questions, Greg will grab me when you guys are done. And then I would go through all the disclosures with them. And I'd say, do you have any questions? And if I couldn't answer the question, I'm like, that's a great question for JB. Let me write that down. Cool. What else you got? Great. And then when we're done, I'm like, hey, let me go get JB. So I'd run down the hall. I'd get JB. I'd be like, hey, they're done. He'd come with a couple business cards. He'd say, hey, thanks, appreciate it. He'd answer any questions. And then he'd say, hey, can I count on you to refer me 2 people? Awesome. Here's the cards. And then walk him out the door. So it was very systematized. He had the ultimate point of leverage where he did the highest dollar productive things. And he knew that obviously I could handle it. Then from there, he handled me the file like a transaction coordinator and said, here, dude, finish the loan. So we'd submit it to processing. I'd even price the loan. He'd tell me what he wanted to make on the deals, and he'd price them out. And he'd say, dude, if you want to play the market, go for it. If you want to lock it in and not think about it, you can do that too. Because my bonus was based on commissions. And so he knew, hey, we want to make this much. So if you want to lock it today at that number, go for it. If you want to play the market, and this is back when it was Mortgage Market Guide, the MMG. So I like studied the market and I'd play the market. And sometimes we lost, sometimes we gained. And that's how I really got good with the rates and understanding the mortgage-backed securities.
That definitely is not normal, right? Like and do you agree with that? Like, or do you have a different take or different perspective based on, I mean, you've coached a lot of originators throughout your career, I think at this point, right? Being in the core, what's your current level in the core? Who are you coaching?
Senior coach.
Okay. So you're coaching level 3s, right?
Coaching level 3s. Yep. This is
Okay.
now my 12th year coaching level 3.
Okay. All right. So the people coming in and out of there, I feel, I noticed a long time ago, it doesn't matter how much production you do, we all have holes, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody's got the holes, and it's so easy. It's like the iceberg thing, right? You look at a big originator, salesperson, realtor, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like, no, they know the holes they have right now, right? Like, do you feel like other people have had that same benefit as far as like, because again, from day one, that was the process, right? And I don't know if he got coached from someplace as well. Like if you are know or remember like what was his trajectory in that. But have you noticed that with like a lot of your students?
Yeah. So no, most don't know, right? They're like, well, what's the next step? Or how do I do? I'm working mad hours and I don't know how to leverage a person, and they don't have the systems and processes. So that's what we're really good at the core with teaching that leverage piece. But no, I don't know how JB knew that. And, the reason, so just so you know, at the 3-year mark, JB had a freak accident on an ATV and he passed away instantly in September of 2008.
Damn.
And so I literally, like, I woke up normal, going to the gym, meeting him at the gym, and I have a voicemail on my phone, and it's like 4 a.m. And so I listened to it, and it's his mom, and she's like, hey, call me back. Call me back, right? And I'm like, wow. So I call her back. She tells me the story, and then everything just unwound from there. So, gosh, I had 3 straight years with that kid. And, when I met JB, he was doing, 12, 14, maybe 18 loans by himself, no assistants, brokering, mad hours. And then that's when he was like, hey, I need an assistant. And my wife introduced us, and then we went rocking and did like what at one time he was the most we did was 58 loans in a month. So he was very systematized. It was just very, very well thought out. And because I lost him too early, I didn't get to ask those questions of how did you figure this out? Because month after he passed, I found the core, and I'm listening to one of the core CDs back in the day.
Was this what he was doing? Like, was he doing this?
No, well, it's interesting because it was very, I don't know, man. Like God works in mysterious ways. So I'm now looking for a new mentor, and then the core shows up, and I get this CD and I'm listening to it, and then I sign up for their program because now I need someone else to follow and guide me. And so I'm going through and I'm like, wow, it's like a conveyor belt. It's exactly a process. There's no double work. There's no crossover stuff. It was like, you do this, I do this, and we'll blow up. And kind of like McDonald's, like you read the E-Myth a long time ago, and it's like you have the pickle person, you have the fry person, right? And everyone just does their highest and best in each piece. So JB built that even with our operations team. And that's how I learned again to carry that torch with the core. So it was the same exact modeling.
Interesting. Yeah. That would be cool to know. Like, where did he get his inspiration for that? Right? Like, maybe he came up with it entirely by himself, but there's always usually similarities. I know people even today who I'll be originators. I'll be talking with them, and I'll ask them like, "Oh, are you familiar with the core? Like, have you been in it?" And they'll say, "No, I've heard of it. I've never been in it." But they maybe even take some core stuff, right? Because they have friends in the core, or they like just through proximity to something, they've made that a little bit a part of themselves without ever even being in it.
Yeah.
Something like that. Maybe.
Well, I'd say I stay in relationship with his mom, and his mom had remarried. So I'll say JB's stepdad, Clay. This guy was like, he was a high level consultant for hospitals. And so he would go in and optimize them. So I have a feeling that a lot of that came from him asking great questions of Clay to optimize his business. So yeah, and then he had another gentleman, he called him Rain Man, because this guy was like found businesses and blew them up. And his son was really good friends with JB, and I still stay in touch with him as well. And his dad, they nicknamed Rain Man because he's just so good with numbers and negotiations and can kind of like see stuff that no one else sees. And so he would consult JB on certain ideas and thoughts that he had. And so it's pretty cool. So I'm sure, kind of like you gather that information from, and it could be books, but most likely it's connections, it's leaders, it's people that you interview on podcasts, where you gather all this information, and then you kind of, it's like Bruce Lee. He invented his own style based on the best of all these other styles to create his all-in-one style that was the most efficient, most effective martial arts style, because he just distilled all the stuff that was watered down and said, they do great with kicks, they do great with knees, they do great with grappling, they do great with pressure points, joint locks, whatever. And I'm just going to take all the best and just put it into one style.
I love that. That's super cool. So I guess that segues into the other follow-up question onto this, is like, what's one of the most powerful things you had to learn about how to be successful, in sales or the mortgage industry, right? Like, as you started to take that next path on your journey that nobody taught you, right? Like, this was something that was not like offered to you. You kind of had to learn it, through the school of hard knocks the hard way.
I'd have to say how organized you have to be, even though you're in sales. So it might sound weird, but as I've take a look back, and when I meet salespeople, they're not really organized. They're just really good at sales. They're good at connecting. Maybe they're good at closing. They're good at asking for the business. They're build rapport. Some of that stuff comes natural, but usually not natural is the organization. And so, think about it. If you're putting up whatever the number, 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever the number of deals you're putting up, but imagine losing your right-hand person and you're also mentor like that. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, now what? And I didn't have direction. And so I was fortunate to find the core, but even then I was on like a CD program. I didn't have a person I was talking to. I was just gathering the right information and then saying, okay, how can I apply that? But I didn't have the direction. So something I've learned over time was, when you have something that you want to accomplish, whether it's personal, professional, financial, that you really seek a good mentor or advisor in that arena. So if you said, hey, Thomas, I'm really trying to work on my marriage. Like, great, I know this person that has a really good marriage and can explain how they're doing it. Or, man, I'm really not great with the stock market, and I know that that's a good place to invest stuff. Do you have somebody that I can talk to that's really good with their money? Yes. So it's hanging around those right people. And I think a lot of people understand that, but don't understand that that really is like a hack, and they don't take advantage of it, right? Like asking and then once you have access, like you do a great job of this, very super curious when you meet people, that you ask the right questions and keep asking questions to go a little bit deeper, because the quality of those questions will dictate the quality of your results.
I couldn't agree more, because I've definitely felt that, where it's like, if you're not forcing yourself, right? Like, and there's different ways to do that, right? Like, paying money is one of the ways where it's like, okay, I can be held accountable to this because now I'm paying money for something, right? It can be manufactured in a way, like, there's exceptions, I think, but I don't necessarily know. I think when I was younger, it came from, maybe I realized how easy it was to ask people for help. Like, how you ask, like what you say and how you say it definitely matters, right? Like, and what you're asking of people. But so many of the mentors I had, like, I went and I asked, right? Like, when I was in title insurance, I just figured out, how do I like learn from one of the best title reps at our company, right? Like, and then just go try and spend time with that person. I remember Tom Bulldog, but this is back Title 365. I don't know if they ever even were in your market. But that was the first title company I ever started with. And he started this like small group for the new guys. And he's like, okay, like, come in, like, it's kind of like one of those tests where it's like, show up, like whoever wants to show up and actually participates, right? Well, there were only 3 of us who showed up, right? And eventually his son actually fell out of that group because his son was in it. But he, I I found it so attractive. Like, well, how are you getting like some of the business from some of these people? Oh, data and analytics. Huh. Well, where do you get that from? Right. And you just keep digging, like you just said. And he's like, oh yeah, Quantarium and some of these other companies. Like, you know what? Let me set up a lunch. Like, you'll come to lunch with me, and I forget the guy's name from Quantarium, but Quantarium is one of those AVM things that you see now. It's kind of like baked in on so many
Yeah.
of these like other things. I like met one of the founders. I didn't even realize like who it was. Like, I'm at lunch with Tom and this guy, and he's talking to me about what he does for him to give data to realtors and lenders, like to help them, like, and then earn the title business.
Mm.
And I think we all doubt sometimes how giving other people will be, right? That's a little bit of a human behavioral thing that I guess it's a muscle, right? Like, and you probably feel the same way, right? Like, if we've spent enough time working out a muscle, it kind of becomes easier, right? And so that asking for help, that seeking, that's what you wrote down, and I circled that, and I was like, it kind of never has stopped. How has your mentorship journey for you evolved over time, right? Because the opposite would be staying comfortable, right? I feel like I know a lot of those people, not just in our business, but in life, where it's okay, they've achieved a certain thing. How much is enough, right? But like, how have you personally, and I guess also just being exposed to the core at such a high level with Rick Ruby, how has your like journey to graduate, like how you're being mentored and leveling up gone?
Yeah. Well, I think the blessing of being in the core is that you're around that level all the time. So being able to be in that community, and the way we structure the program with the core is you're switching coaches every 6 months. So I like the coaches get coached. So I have a new coach this semester. Like, I had Rick last semester through December, and then I get a new coach this semester, and in July I'll get another new coach. So getting that fresh set of eyes on your business, always, like, you're always surrendering to some sort of authority and having a different view into your business. So even though we have the same playbook, it's a unified process, you have a different set of eyes and different engagement and different set of questions coming at you that also open up your viewpoint and offer you to ask different questions so that you can elevate your game. So yeah, you're always being pushed, but not like you need to double your business every year. No, you just need to get a little bit better. And like we were talking about before, if your processes just get a little bit better, and honestly, they just get simplified and uncomplicated, then
Yeah.
you will do more business in less time. Like, my goal is not, hey, how do I, go from $1 million a year to 2 million a year? It's, how do I stay at 1 million, maybe grow a little bit, and then reduce my hours so I could spend more time with the kids, more times traveling, more time with my spouse. Like, that Itzler event is where I heard him talk about his parents. And he said that, hey, if the average age is 82 and your parents are 70, that means you got 12 Christmases, 12 Mother's
Yep.
Day, 12 Father's Day, right? Well, what you don't know is, at that time, my mom had been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And so I didn't know how much more time I had, but I'm sitting there going, well, that number means that I don't have that many more times. So I made it on my goal sheet. It said, get back. I'm from Boston. I live in Scottsdale. So get back home 4 times a year, twice with the kids and my wife, twice by myself, because it's easier to travel by me. And so I did that for several years before she passed. And that was all because he said that thing. Now, what I also gained from that as well, Thomas, and I know you have kids, is I've got a son who's a junior, who I just mentioned earlier, and I have a daughter that's a sophomore in high school. So right now we're coming up on spring break. After this spring break, I have one more spring break with my son till he's off to college. And whether it's local or gone, right, it's still like not in the house anymore, right? And if he's like me, I was 17 when I left after high school. I graduated early, obviously, because I turned 18 right after, when I moved to Arizona, and I've never moved home. So that was 1991. So these are the thoughts in my head, like, oh, that means 2 more Christmases with my son, 3 more with my daughter. And so when I do that, I'm like, okay, I need more quality time with them. So my simplicity of my business and my life is to be more present with them.
It's I think it's a Dave. Sorry, what's a Robert Kawasaki thing, right? Like, there are 3 forms of currency: time, money, and energy, right? And so it's a great question. Like, how much is enough, right? Like, there's there's also, you could be more efficient and make more money, right? By leveling up your clients, right? Like who are the clients or the type of loans that you do, right? Like the people you work with, referral partners. But yeah, spending more time, right? Like that, there's trade-offs there where it's, would you give more time, more money for more freedom of time? And with that, even energy, where it's like peace of mind, right? Like how good is your team? I would imagine you feel pretty confident in your team. Like you go on an extended vacation and probably don't get bothered. Is that where you
Correct.
feel like you've gotten there? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I tell the story of my we were supposed to go to Italy during the COVID, right? And then obviously that didn't happen. So then we ended up going a couple years later. And at that time, I left my cell phone here with my assistant. I bought a burner phone, and my assistant and my family were the only ones with the phone. And I got no calls, no text messages, no nothing. Everything was just handled for 3
You bought a
weeks.
burner phone and you just took the burner phone with you. Nice.
I only needed it to be like, hey, where you guys at? I'll get the cab. Like, I needed it for my immediate family. My assistant never hit me up. My team never hit. I didn't need to do anything. And, but it was intentionally built by design. It doesn't happen instantaneously. It's just over time. You build the right team. You put the right team in place. You pour into them. You reward them. It's just like JB did for me. I'm just doing it for them. Just like you're doing a huge give back for the community and the industry by doing these events and podcasts. You're selflessly giving back to the industry. Well, I'm doing the same thing. Like, how do I just pour into the team? It's synergistic. And like you said, at some point in time, you just turn the keys over and like, all right, guys, here you go. It's all yours.
Yeah. That's a good place, I think, to try and end right there, is confidence, because again, it happens slowly, right? And probably by being more intentional about it, right? Like, you what's the one thing you're focused on right now this year to kind of like tweak it, a little bit further, that you think the thing that's going to move the needle the most, like make the biggest impact today? Because, it's none of us will ever benefit being able to, because we don't have infinite time, right? Like that's why site visits are cool, right? Like that's part of the core, like going and actually like getting under the hood and saying, okay, what is this thing and how does this thing work? Like, can you explain that to me? And how it moves the needle, uh, which is dope. But like, what's one thing you're doing right now to tweak the engine a little bit more, fine tune it for where you want, for where else you
Well,
want to
you
get?
touched on it. Yeah. Yeah. You said it earlier about how to be more efficient with your business to be more efficient with your time. And so if I'm working, we call it the pyramid. So if I'm working to build that top of the pyramid that sends you the majority of your business, so we call them the whale account. So the big agent accounts that you know them, you like them, you get along with them, you want to do life with them and build that community. So you have less relationships that lead to more deals, then you have less to manage. So rather than having like 100 agents that send you 1 or 2 deals, I'm managing 100 relationships. Versus if you had 20 that sent you 5 deals, same amount of closings, yet 20 relationships that I can honestly just go deeper on, hang out with more, have deeper conversations, impact their life more. So that's the goal. That's how I get more efficient with my business. The second part of that is pouring into the next generation. So we talked a little bit before, my son, I've got 2 guys in their early 20s that have been with me. One just had his 1-year anniversary, and the other one, it'll probably be like 3 more months since he came on as a full year. And they're just getting started in the industry. So I'm trying to we call it mortgage loan apprentice. So who's the next LO to come in? And rather than recruit somebody over, I say, let's just grow them from the ground up. Come in and learn the business, shadow me, watch my team, use my team. And then eventually you'll go on your own, and then eventually you'll build your own team. But at some point in time, they'll look back at me like I do to JB, like, man, that kid gave me a monster opportunity. And here I am 20 something years later and doing pretty good.
Yeah. Well, but it doesn't come without deciding, right? Like you decided, right, to take a risk, get uncomfortable, level up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and get out of that personal training lifestyle and routine that you had. Every God works in mysterious ways, as you said, right? There's that silly little story about guys in his house and, flood, all that stuff. Like, they're evacuating and he's like, no, I'm not going to leave. God will save me. Right. Like, are you familiar with the story?
No, go ahead.
No. It's, I'm probably saying it wrong, but he, like they're evacuating everything because the water's rising, like the whole town's gonna flood. He's like, no, 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 like, I have faith in God, like God will save me, like you guys go. And they're like, okay, and they leave. And then, as the water continues to rise, somebody comes over and like, a big truck or like bigger thing, like the SWAT team or whatever. They're all like, hey, come here, like, get in, like the water's rising. He's like, no, 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 God's gonna save me. Well, then a boat comes, right? And then he's on the roof, and then a helicopter comes. He's like, God will save me. And then in the end, he drowns and he goes to heaven. And he's like, God, like I had so much faith in you. Like, why didn't you come and save me? And God's like, I freaking sent you like the SWAT team, a boat, like then a helicopter. Like, what more did you want? Right? Like it's there. Sometimes maybe we have to be ready, right? Like, and
Right.
and more messages will come, right? Like, so if we miss one chance at a mentor, even, right? It's like, okay, if you weren't ready and didn't take your swing or take your shot to try and build a relationship with somebody, there's always another opportunity coming, and we'll be
Right.
better for the swings that we took and missed, right? And just slowly make it better, slowly, a little bit at a
That's
time.
good, man. That's really good. The one thing that's come full
I
circle
totally
is,
botched that story. Like, there's way.
well, when you started getting to the I was like, oh wait, I have heard this. You're right. And that's how many times do we just miss the opportunity because we're not fully present? Like one of my mentors, I don't know if you know Ben Newman, one of the books that I had mentioned when you and I were talking about, called The Standard. He just talks about that you being where your feet are, like being present, like being present with you and I right now, not on my phone, not check my email, not like present. And how many times are we just not present, whether it's at home on the couch talking to the kids, they come in from the school, or you're talking to your business partner or your referral partner and you just kind of check out for a split second, like you're not fully present. And when you're not fully present, you miss out on those opportunities. Did you miss the helicopter? Did you miss the little arc that just went by? The little boat flagging you down, like, hey man. So and that. So, I told you when JB passed, I went to this event, and the event had no mortgage people, no real estate agents. It was a leadership event. Yet there was no one in there from our industry. And I go in and there's like a guy selling like, MLM juice of some sort. There's a chiropractor. And I'm like, all right. And, rah is pretty good. And I'm leaving. And that's where I saw the core CD. And so weird that there would be a core training CD for coaching in an event that had nothing to do with real estate or mortgage. Like, I don't know who put them out there. I don't know who made the table. But that changed my life.
Well,
And
did you
something
buy
that,
it, or are you saying that it was just there?
no, there were just a stack of them. And when I saw the core training, I thought it was a workout CD because I was a trainer.
Also, it was free, you're saying?
Yes. Remember, I was a personal trainer. So I see the core train. I'm like, oh,
You're like,
it's
okay,
a
let's see what
workout.
this is about. Like,
Dude, I grab it. I threw it in the car because back then the cars had CD players in it. I'm driving and again, Thomas, it was a church. So I go into the church. I sit there for the rah-rah stuff. I'm leaving and I see the CD. It says core. I'm like, oh, it must be for my abs.
Yeah.
I grab it. I throw it in the car, and it's Rick Ruby. Be more organized, chase realtors, have a team. And I'm like, whoa, I like this guy. So that's where I bought the core thing. Well, it's come full circle. We just started the core locker room. So we have an on-demand, portal of training modules that are $99 versus the $3,500 a month to be in level 3. And so that, like, almost like Rick's like, hey, I want you to run that. So myself, Julie Johnson, Patrick Conway, Randall Mill, like, we're running that for Rick. And it's kind of cool that he's letting me do that, because that's how I got my start with the core.
Yeah. Just in the locker room, just picking up a CD on a table, random table.
Crazy.
Well, it is crazy. God works in mysterious ways. So, hey,
Yeah.
whether we're into whatever you're into, God, the universe, right? Like, failing to plan is planning to fail, right?
Yes.
So being balanced and intentional about that, right? Like, but I appreciate how much we've brought it up even in this brief time together. So thanks, man. Appreciate you
You're welcome.
bringing
Thanks for
that
having
to
me
the
on.
surface as well.
Yeah, well, dude, I'm honored that you asked me. And, you were talking about before, like, sometimes people are scared to ask people, mentors, and, maybe for some advice or something. But I want to tell you that those people feel valued and honored when you do ask them. Like when I said, hey, Thomas, I need your opinion on something. Would that make you feel special and honored?
Yeah.
Because I'm lifting you up. Like, hey, man, I want your opinion on something. Like, I need your
You're
help.
asking
Like,
for
those
help.
are things that you make them feel good just by asking the question. So don't be scared to ask people questions, especially if they've already gone the path and you're wanting to pick their brain. And look, if they're like, no, buzz off, you're like, okay, that's not the person you want advice from anyways. So go find somebody else.
Yeah, their response will tell a lot. But again, depending on what your ask is, right? Is your ask like, hey, like I'm trying to do this thing, I'm trying to get to where you are, right? Like I'm trying to, yeah, it's people are willing to help, right?
But what
Like,
an honor, right? Hey, I want to do what you're
yeah,
doing. I like how you do, but you, like you said, your delivery and how you ask is huge. So if I said, hey, Thomas, I really like how you carry yourself. I love watching your journey through the mortgage industry and how you've transitioned from this to this to this. And man, I'd love to sit down and pick your brain and get your opinion on, some things that I could do to be as successful as you. Would you mind if I bought you a cup of coffee? Like, I think there's
yeah,
a high percentage that you would say, yes, I would happy help you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, thank you again, Greg. Appreciate you making the time for this.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Let's see. For anybody else, so if you made it this far in video, thank you for watching. Greg, the locker room. Just to, I guess, highlight that for a second, right? Like it's called locker room. Is that an easy enough thing to find on social
Yeah,
media
yeah.
or online?
Thecorelockerroom.com.
Okay, there you go.
Thecorelockerroom.com.
If that's where you feel called to right now learn more because you're not surrounding yourself with better ideas or better people, then do that, right? Like, subscribe to this channel, this video. If you got something from it, share it with somebody else who will get value from this as well. But thank you again, Greg, for making the time. Thank you for watching, guys.
You're welcome. Thank you.